For the next 3 days, make one decision that has the power to change the direction of your life. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require special talent. It doesn't require permission from anyone. It only requires that you become aware of the conversations taking place inside your own mind. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are speaking to yourself thousands of times. Before you make a decision, before you attempt a challenge, before you even react to a situation, your inner voice has already offered an opinion. The question is not whether you are talking to yourself. The question is whether the voice you are listening to is building your future or quietly destroying it. Your life will never consistently rise above the quality of the words you repeatedly accept as truth. If you spend 3 days deliberately changing those words, you may discover that the greatest obstacle was never outside you. It was the conversation happening within you. For the next 3 days, every morning before you check your phone, before you compare yourself with someone else's success, and before the world tells you who you should be, look at yourself and say, I am growing every single day. I am capable of learning what I do not yet know. I have value that cannot be measured by temporary results. I will not allow one bad moment to define my entire future. These are not empty compliments. They are instructions to your mind. The brain follows repeated direction. When you consistently feed it confidence instead of fear, possibility instead of limitation, and purpose instead of confusion, your actions begin to reflect those thoughts. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. Confidence is something you build by speaking and acting in agreement with the future you want to create. Throughout these 3 days, refuse to become your own worst critic. Too many people replay their failures like a movie that never ends. They remind themselves of every mistake, every rejection, every missed opportunity, until they begin to believe failure is their identity instead of an experience. But your mistakes are lessons, not labels. They are evidence that you were willing to move instead of remaining still. Replace the sentence, I always fail, with every challenge teaches me something that success never could. Replace, I'm not good enough, with I am becoming stronger through consistent effort. Replace, it's impossible, with I haven't discovered the solution yet. One sentence can change one decision, and one decision can change an entire future. As you move through your day, pay attention to the moments when pressure begins to rise. That is when your real conversation begins. Anyone can speak positively when life is comfortable, but true transformation happens when circumstances test your thinking. When something goes wrong, do not immediately say everything is falling apart. Instead, say this is a temporary situation and I have the ability to respond wisely. Those words calm the mind, strengthen your focus, and prevent emotions from controlling your decisions. Your response to pressure often determines whether pressure becomes your prison or your teacher. For these 3 days, become intentional about encouraging yourself even when nobody else does. There will be moments when people fail to recognize your effort. There will be days when your progress is invisible. There will be seasons when it feels as though your work is producing no visible reward. In those moments, remind yourself that not every seed grows overnight. Progress often happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible to the world. Continue speaking life into your goals. Continue reminding yourself that consistency produces results long before applause arrives. The people who eventually achieve extraordinary things are usually the ones who learned how to keep believing while nobody was watching. Whenever fear begins to whisper that you should quit, answer it with stronger words. Tell yourself, I was not created to stop because something became difficult. I grow stronger every time I continue. Every obstacle develops qualities that comfort never could. Fear always tries to convince you that discomfort is danger. In reality, many of your greatest opportunities exist just beyond the point where most people decide to give up. Speak courage until your actions begin to reflect it. The conversation inside you always comes before the results around you. During these 3 days, stop introducing yourself to yourself as someone who is limited by the past. Many people wake up every morning carrying yesterday into today. They remind themselves of who they used to be instead of focusing on who they are becoming. Growth requires a new identity. Begin to see yourself as a disciplined person instead of someone who occasionally tries. See yourself as someone who finishes what they start. See yourself as someone who keeps promises to themselves. Identity shapes behavior far more powerfully than temporary motivation. When you believe you are becoming a stronger person, your daily choices begin to support that belief naturally. Protect your inner dialogue from negativity just as carefully as you protect your dreams. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Some voices create confusion, while others create clarity. Learn to filter what you allow to remain in your thinking. If a thought weakens your confidence without offering a solution, challenge it. If a thought reminds you of your potential and encourages responsible action, strengthen it. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you water consistently will eventually grow. Choose carefully what you allow to take root because your future is being shaped by today's repeated thoughts. For these 3 days, celebrate every small victory. If you complete one task you have been avoiding, acknowledge it. If you remain disciplined when you wanted to procrastinate, recognize it. If you respond calmly where you once reacted emotionally, appreciate your growth. Small victories build lasting confidence because they provide evidence that change is already happening. Great success is rarely one giant leap. More often, it is the accumulation of hundreds of small decisions made consistently over time. Speak to yourself as someone who notices progress instead of someone who only notices imperfections. At the end of each day before you sleep, have one final conversation with yourself. Do not ask only what went wrong. Ask what you learned. Ask how you improved. Ask what you will do better tomorrow. Then remind yourself, today I became stronger than yesterday. Tomorrow I will become stronger than today. I am building a future one decision at a time. These words prepare your mind to continue growing instead of ending the day with regret. 3 days of intentional self-talk may seem simple, but never underestimate the power of repeated thoughts. Every remarkable achievement begins long before the world notices it. It begins with someone deciding that from this moment forward, the loudest voice they will follow is no longer fear, doubt, or limitation. It is the voice that reminds them every day that they are capable of becoming far more than they have allowed themselves to believe. Every great transformation begins long before anyone else can see it. It begins in the quiet place where no audience is watching and no applause is being given. It begins with the conversation you have with yourself every single day. Before your hands build anything meaningful, your mind has already built an image of what is possible. Before your feet move toward a goal, your thoughts have already decided whether the journey is worth taking. This is why your inner voice is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It is constantly influencing your decisions, your confidence, your willingness to take risks, and your ability to keep moving when circumstances become difficult. Many people spend years trying to change their surroundings while ignoring the voice that interprets those surroundings. Yet the quality of your life is often determined not by what happens to you, but by what you repeatedly tell yourself about what happens to you. Think about the moments when you face something unfamiliar. Perhaps it was a new opportunity, a difficult responsibility, or a dream that seemed bigger than your current abilities. In those moments, the first response rarely came from the outside world. It came from within. Your inner voice immediately began to speak. It either whispered that you were capable of learning, adapting, and growing, or it reminded you of every past mistake, every disappointment, and every reason to stay where you were. The direction you chose afterward was deeply influenced by that internal conversation. This is why two people can face the exact same opportunity and produce completely different results. One person sees possibility while the other sees impossibility. The difference often lies in the story they have been telling themselves long before the opportunity arrived. Your mind accepts repetition as instruction. Whatever you consistently repeat becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar often begins to feel true. If you tell yourself every day that you are weak, your actions will gradually reflect weakness. If you constantly repeat that success belongs only to other people, you will hesitate whenever a chance appears in front of you. If you continually convince yourself that your past defines your future, you will unknowingly carry old limitations into new opportunities. On the other hand, when you deliberately choose words that encourage growth, responsibility, and resilience, your thinking begins to shift. You stop looking for excuses and start looking for possibilities. You stop focusing on what you lack and begin developing what you already have. The change starts with language, but it does not end there. It eventually transforms your behavior. Many people underestimate the influence of ordinary conversations with themselves because those conversations seem invisible. They believe only dramatic events shape a person's destiny. In reality, destiny is often built through quiet decisions repeated over time. Every morning, you either strengthen your confidence or weaken it. Every challenge either becomes evidence that you are growing or proof in your own mind that you should stop trying. Every setback either teaches you something valuable or convinces you to surrender. The words you attach to each experience determine the lesson you carry forward. When you say, "This challenge is helping me become stronger," your mind begins searching for solutions. When you say, "Nothing ever works for me," your mind stops searching because it believes the outcome has already been decided. For the next 3 days, become intentional about the voice you choose to follow. The world will always have opinions about who you are, what you can accomplish, and how far you should go. Some voices will encourage you, while others will attempt to limit your vision. But the most influential voice will always be the one you hear most often, your own. Let that voice become a source of strength rather than fear. Let it remind you that every expert was once a beginner, every achievement started as an idea, and every meaningful success was built one decision at a time. Speak to yourself as someone who is capable of learning, improving, and overcoming obstacles. When your inner dialogue begins to align with the future you want to create, your daily choices begin to move in that same direction. And when your choices consistently move in the right direction, your future slowly becomes a reflection of the powerful conversation you decided to have with yourself. One of the greatest battles you will ever fight is not against your circumstances, your competition, or your limitations. It is against the beliefs that have quietly settled into your mind over the years. Every limiting belief begins as a thought, but if it is repeated often enough, it eventually becomes a conviction. Once it becomes a conviction, it starts making decisions on your behalf without you even realizing it. You begin to avoid opportunities because you have already convinced yourself that you are not qualified. You stop pursuing your dreams because you believe success belongs to people with better backgrounds, better connections, or greater talent. Yet none of those beliefs were facts when they first appeared. They became powerful only because you accepted them without questioning them. If a thought has the power to limit your future, then a new thought has the power to expand it. That is why changing your life begins with changing the beliefs you allow to live in your mind. Pay attention to the words you use whenever you face a challenge. Do you immediately say, "I can't do this"? Or do you say, "I can learn how to do this"? Those two statements may seem similar because they describe the same situation, but they produce completely different futures. The first sentence closes the door before you even try. The second opens the door to growth, learning, and progress. Your potential is often hidden behind the words you choose in difficult moments. Every time you replace a limiting statement with an empowering one, you are training your mind to search for answers instead of excuses. Instead of saying, "I always fail," remind yourself, "Every attempt makes me wiser." Instead of saying, "I'm not ready," tell yourself, "I become more prepared every time I take action." These are not unrealistic affirmations. They are practical decisions to focus on progress instead of paralysis. Many people spend years waiting for confidence before they take action, but confidence rarely arrives first. It grows through repeated action supported by healthy thinking. Imagine someone who wants to become a skilled speaker, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a leader. If that person keeps repeating, "People like me never succeed," they will hesitate every time an opportunity appears. They may possess the ability to succeed, but their own thinking will prevent them from using it. On the other hand, when someone chooses to believe, "I may not be where I want to be today, but I am capable of improving," they begin taking small steps. Those small steps create experience. Experience builds competence, and competence gradually develops genuine confidence. Empowering thoughts are valuable because they inspire meaningful action, and meaningful action is what transforms dreams into reality. There is another important truth you must remember. Replacing limiting beliefs does not mean pretending difficulties do not exist. Challenges are real. Obstacles are real. Disappointments are real. The difference is that empowering thinking changes the way you respond to them. A person controlled by limiting beliefs sees every obstacle as proof that they should stop. A person guided by empowering belief sees every obstacle as an opportunity to become more creative, more disciplined, and more resilient. They ask better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of asking, "Why am I not good enough?" they ask, "What skills should I develop next?" The quality of your questions determines the quality of your growth, and empowering beliefs encourage questions that move you forward instead of holding you back. For the next 3 days, become intentional about replacing every limiting belief the moment it appears. Do not allow negative thoughts to settle comfortably in your mind. Challenge them. Replace them with thoughts that encourage responsibility, perseverance, and possibility. When your mind says it's too late, answer, "Every new decision creates a new beginning." When fear whispers, "You are not enough," remind yourself, "I can improve every day through consistent effort." When doubt tells you to remain where it is safe, answer with courage and take one more step forward. Over time, these new patterns of thinking will no longer feel forced. They will become natural. And when empowering beliefs become your new normal, your decisions will become bolder, your actions more consistent, and your future will begin reflecting the person you have chosen to become, rather than the fears you have chosen to leave behind. Anyone can speak words of confidence when life is comfortable, when opportunities are abundant, and when everything seems to be working in their favor. The real test of your character begins when life refuses to follow your plans. It is easy to believe in yourself after a victory, but it takes a different level of strength to believe in yourself after a disappointment. Challenges have a unique way of exposing the conversations taking place within you. The moment pressure appears, your inner voice immediately begins interpreting the situation. It either convinces you that this obstacle is greater than your ability, or it reminds you that every difficult season carries an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more capable. That is why difficult moments should never be feared. They reveal whether your thinking has been built on fear or on resilience. If you can learn to speak with confidence while standing in the middle of uncertainty, you will discover a strength that circumstances cannot take away. Every challenge presents you with two choices. You can allow your emotions to control your words, or you can allow your purpose to guide them. Emotions change from one moment to the next, but purpose remains steady. If you allow temporary emotions to determine your inner dialogue, you will make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. A single setback may convince you to abandon a dream that was meant to shape your future. A single criticism may cause you to hide talents that could have made a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Instead, discipline your mind to respond differently. When problems arise, refuse to say, "Everything is falling apart." Replace that thought with, "This situation is demanding a stronger version of me." Those words immediately shift your focus from panic to preparation. Instead of becoming a victim of the moment, you begin becoming a student of the moment, searching for lessons, strategies, and opportunities hidden inside the challenge. Pressure has never been designed merely to test your endurance. It also reveals your potential. Think about the strongest materials in the world. They become stronger because they endure intense pressure during their formation. Human character develops in much the same way. Patience is not built when everything is easy. Courage is not developed when there is nothing to fear. Discipline is not created when every task is enjoyable. These qualities are forged in moments when quitting seems easier than continuing. This is why you must guard your words carefully during difficult seasons. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you cannot continue, your mind will eventually stop searching for ways to move forward. But if you consistently remind yourself that every challenge is strengthening your abilities, your mind begins looking for solutions instead of surrender. Your greatest growth often begins at the exact point where most people decide to give up. There will be days when progress feels invisible. You will work hard without immediate results. You will make sacrifices that nobody notices. You will remain committed while others lose interest. During those moments, the loudest voice you hear should not be the voice of discouragement, but the voice of determination. Tell yourself, every step I take is preparing me for something greater. Tell yourself, this delay is not my defeat. Tell yourself, I will continue improving even when no one is applauding my effort. These statements are not meant to ignore reality. They are meant to keep your focus on what you can control. You cannot always control how quickly opportunities appear, but you can control your preparation. You cannot always control how others respond to you, but you can control your commitment to becoming better every single day. The person who continues preparing during difficult seasons is often the one who is fully ready when opportunity finally arrives. For the next 3 days, make a commitment that whenever difficulty appears, you will answer it with words that produce strength instead of fear. When uncertainty whispers that you should stop, remind yourself that growth has always required courage. When failure tries to convince you that your journey is over, answer with the decision to learn, adjust, and continue. When doubt attempts to occupy your mind, replace it with thoughts that encourage action, perseverance, and responsibility. The circumstances around you may not change overnight, but something far more important will begin to change: you. And when you become stronger in your thinking, calmer in your response, and more confident in your decisions, challenges lose their power to define your future. They become stepping stones that elevate you toward the life you are determined to create, proving that the strongest victories are often won first within the mind before they are ever seen in the world. One of the most powerful changes you can ever make is not changing your job, your environment, or even your daily routine. The greatest transformation begins when you change the way you see yourself. Every action you take is connected to the identity you believe you possess. People rarely live far beyond the image they have accepted in their own minds. If you constantly see yourself as someone who lacks discipline, you will continue making undisciplined decisions even when you sincerely desire a different outcome. If you believe you are someone who gives up whenever life becomes difficult, your actions will eventually match that belief. But the moment you begin seeing yourself differently, your choices begin changing as well. This is why building a strong identity through daily self-talk is not about pretending to be someone else. It is about becoming fully aware of the person you are capable of becoming and making decisions that are consistent with that vision every single day. Every morning presents you with an opportunity to introduce yourself to yourself again. Too many people wake up carrying an outdated identity created by past failures, old disappointments, or the opinions of others. They define themselves by what happened years ago instead of by the possibilities that still lie ahead. Yet your past may explain where you have been, but it does not have the authority to decide where you are going. The person you were yesterday does not have to be the person you become tomorrow. This is why your daily conversations with yourself matter so much. Instead of saying, "I have always been this way," begin saying, "I am becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined with every decision I make." Instead of identifying yourself by your weaknesses, begin identifying yourself by the qualities you are intentionally developing. Growth begins the moment you stop introducing yourself as a prisoner of your history and start seeing yourself as the architect of your future. Identity is more powerful than temporary motivation because motivation comes and goes, but identity remains. There will be mornings when you do not feel inspired. There will be days when your energy is low, your progress feels slow, and your enthusiasm is tested. If your actions depend only on how motivated you feel, your consistency will disappear the moment emotions begin to fade. However, when your actions are connected to your identity, you continue moving forward because that is simply who you have decided to become. A disciplined person does not wait to feel disciplined before taking action. A responsible person does not wait for perfect circumstances before fulfilling commitments. A person committed to excellence continues improving even when no one is watching. This is why your inner dialogue should consistently reinforce the identity you are building. Every time you remind yourself, "I am someone who finishes what I start," or "I am someone who grows through challenges," you strengthen the foundation upon which lasting habits are built. Your identity is also shaped by the standards you choose to accept. Standards determine what you tolerate, what you reject, and what you consistently pursue. If you expect little from yourself, your actions will usually settle for little. But when you raise your standards, your behavior begins rising to meet them. Daily self-talk plays a vital role in this process because it reminds you of the level of excellence you are committed to maintaining. Speak to yourself with honesty, but also with expectation. Tell yourself that you are capable of learning difficult skills. Remind yourself that consistency is becoming part of your character. Encourage yourself to act with integrity even when shortcuts seem easier. Every time your words reinforce higher standards, you strengthen the identity that supports lasting success. Eventually, excellence stops feeling like an occasional achievement and becomes the natural expression of who you are.